if you feel that you're providing educational content, I would suggest looking to try to elevate your knowledge rather than thinking about big presentation. People will chase knowledge. Like they'll have websites that are dedicated to metrics and success rates and why headshots work for XYZ opponents on XYZ maps, like things like that. Like there's a whole world out there for you if you're providing education. People will seek it out.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Stream to You podcast. This is our weekly show here at TRUgaming, where we help you level up your stream on Twitch, Mixer, and other streaming platforms. I'm Greencord, the media and marketing director for TRUgaming, and today I'm joined by three special guests here on the show. Two first-time guests, both brand new True partners, which I'm excited about. We have Lock, Glock, and Vlok this week on StreamKey. So we'll start with Lock, NagataLockII, brand new True partner. How are you, man?
I'm doing really well. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for coming on the show. You've listened to the show for some time, right?
Yeah. I've been listening to the show for a year now. A little over a year. Yeah. It's really, really great to be on here. I listen to it literally every week like clockwork on iTunes. So I'm just like, all right, let's go. Let's do this.
Awesome. Well, awesome to have you finally on the show. Be a guest too. Secondly, we have Glock9. Is that how you say your name? Glock9?
Yes.
Okay. Thought so. But how you doing, Glock? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing very well. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Thanks for coming on. We're going to meet these guys a little more in a second after we do the intros. And lastly is Vlok. How are you doing, sir, this week?
Always good, man. How are you?
Good. Doing good. Hanging in there. So, guys, if you have not seen the show before, the way this works is this week, the first 5-10 minutes, we're going to meet Lock and Glock to get to know about their streams, kind of how they got into Twitch, got to be partners, all that. Then we'll go through the news for this week with streaming news, which there was a good amount of this week, including the quarterly report, which I'm really excited about. And then the last hour and a half will be viewer questions and calls. So if you guys want to submit your own questions, you can tag us in the chat with your question, or you can actually call into the show via Discord. Come on here with us and talk through your take with us, which we hope you'll do because you skip the line if you do that. But first of all, let's go ahead and meet you guys a little bit more. So NagataLock, can you kind of tell us more about what your stream is like, how you got started, just more about yourself in general?
It's kind of like a long journey, I guess. I've been in competitive gaming for 18 years now. So I got into the fighting game community. I'm a tournament organizer and showcaster for fighting games, primarily right now for Dragon Ball FighterZ. And I got into the competitive scene when it was like Street Fighter 3, probably the best way to explain it, back in like 2000, 2001. And I've been organizing offline tournaments for years and years and years. And I had burnout a couple of years ago, and a friend of mine who is a variety streamer, he's just like, you should come into Twitch. And I only thought of Twitch for the longest time as the thing that I sit down and watch like major esports events and whatnot. I didn't realize how like significant like the community aspect of Twitch was. And it was like a new challenge for me. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna come over and let's see if I can do like the tournament thing and build like another community like all over again, because I had done it so long in Toronto and the offline scene. And here we are now, and it's the same thing. It's like I meet like so many really, really good people, and I'm sure we're all in that boat where like one of the true satisfactions of like being on Twitch and doing all that is like meeting people and like growing your community and all that kind of stuff. And that's what I've been doing now. I run weekly tournaments for Dragon Ball FighterZ to get to meet new people, kick back and crack jokes with folks, and have a lot of fun doing it. It's pretty much the nuts and bolts of it for me.
Awesome. And how long have you been streaming for overall, you said?
Be 3 years now. I had a channel for like a little while, but I only really got into Twitch, like dove into Twitch about 2 years ago. Probably be the best way to explain it, about 2 years ago.
Okay, gotcha, cool.
Yeah.
So mainly fighter game stuff, about 2 years on the platform, more or less. And you've been a true partner for about 2 weeks now, maybe?
Yeah, about 2 weeks.
Both you guys, Glock included, who I think we'll also go over and meet really quickly. So Glock9, can you kind of tell us more about your channel, how you got into Twitch, and just more about yourself?
I got into Twitch because I used to play competitive CSGO. And basically it all started because somebody basically wanted to watch some of the matches, and someone told me about Twitch. So I was actually streaming it originally for them to watch. And then next thing you know, you start getting followers and people talking in your chat. It made more gaming for me more fun. So I started going with it, just kept going and kept growing. Then stopped playing Counter-Strike. I started playing, Realm Royale, which I play now, who I'm also partnered with Hi-Rez and the game, and then basically I've been streaming for about a year now, and it's been by far one of the craziest years, growth of the channel, and then, gaming has never been more fun for me right now. And then, trying to just continue to keep the Realm Royale community growing by, keeping the game alive.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people kind of start to stream that lately, which is interesting. Kind of like a resurgence.
It's kind of a resurgence, trying to get old players back onto it, and because if you remember, they had a lot of tournaments. You had Ninja and all the top guys playing the game, and then we had basically the issue with the developers of the game at the time who are not with the game anymore, and the game kind of fell off. So it's kind of like trying to get people back into the game, realizing, because once you get people on there, honestly, they realize how fun it is, and a lot of people get hooked on it again. So,
gotcha. So you've been on the platform for about a year, though, streaming.
Yeah,
and you've done a lot in that time since getting partnered with the company that you stream with for that game, as well as being a true partner now. So pretty cool. Cool. Well, I just want to give some background for you guys on Lock and Glock, what they do, and we'll get to meet them more over the course of the show, of course. So let's go ahead into the streaming news, which again, there was a good bit of this week. First of all, just general streaming news. The biggest thing, I'd say the biggest thing is the Streamlabs report overall, which I will link in the chat really quickly if you guys want to look through it. It's a pretty long article with a lot of info. But some of the key takeaways that we saw this quarter were that Twitch, for the first time in a long time, has actually dropped off in viewership a little bit. Not like a crazy amount, but it has gone down, which is notable. Mixer has been increasing a lot, actually, over the past quarter or so. And that's interesting to see Mixer growing while Twitch is declining. A lot of people have different thoughts about that. YouTube Live is also really growing pretty big. Some of my personal takeaways were that Mixer saw increases in viewership, but streamership went down, which means that the average number of viewers per channel is going up a lot on Mixer. Same thing's happening on YouTube overall, although both viewership and streamership are going up on YouTube, so there's more streamers and more viewers. And then the thing with Twitch, although Twitch went down in overall viewership, it lost more streamers than it did viewers, if that makes sense. So same thing, you're actually seeing more overall viewers per channel, even though viewership overall is going down. So it's all kind of complicated with the numbers. You can see it in that report if you want to look through it. I know you guys might have had a chance to look through the report a little bit. I know Lock definitely did. Lock, do you have any thoughts just looking through the report?
Right now, I think that there's a couple of things that like really stood out to me. The Twitch streamership versus viewership by far, and I think that just comes down to the fact that there's a reality check that is starting to come into play in terms of what people's expectations are of Twitch as a creator. You have a lot of folks that came in and they're just like, okay, I want to be the next fill in the blank. All right. And they see all the accolades and all the money and like whatever else. And they don't really grasp what goes into becoming a creator on the platform. It's massively saturated. You need to do everything you can to get yourself out there. And the work is intense versus the return, which is more often than not marginal. So you have all these people that are coming into the sphere and they're just like, I'm going to do this, rah, rah, rah. And then they're like, maybe I watch instead of stream, because you've got all this time you've devoted. Some folks do 4 hours or 8 hours. Some are doing like regular 12 hours or whatnot, right? And at the end of it, they come out of it going, did I get what I wanted out of it? Or in their mind when they came into it, like once the cheerleading is done in your head, you're like, was the work like worth my while? And I think for a lot of folks, you're seeing that like right now is that they don't feel it's worth the while. The impression they had in, let's say, 2015, or I always equate it to the Prime situation. Once Prime came into play, it exploded the platform as a whole, and so once the Prime came into play, they're like, okay, I want to get in on this. Twitch is exploding, and they realize that they can't really get like as much of the pie as they would care to like in their head. They're just like, nope, I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to watch. And as you can see, like they're dwindling slightly in watch hours as well. I'm going to watch rather than create. And so now you're kind of like seeing like this re-beginning of the platform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I've been saying for a while, I think that the bubble of Twitch is starting to deflate a little bit. I think especially on the streamer side, like you said, it's kind of losing that, anyone can do it magic charm of just trying it. I think a lot of people have tried it now and maybe have found it's not for them or just don't want to stay committed to it. And I think that's just a natural part of the program. So I definitely agree with that. Bell, did you have a chance to look through the report a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. And just the thing that stuck out to me the most was the streamership fall off on Twitch. Like Nagata was saying. Yeah, I think it's just people overestimate, what the results are going to be as a streamer, because it looks so easy when you just come in and watch it, but like when you actually have to put in the grind and everything, it's not always so glamorous. And so just seeing that just kind of I don't know, you just realize that there was a lot of hype and people are starting to realize that it's not as easy as it looks. So that's what stuck out to me the most.
Yeah, for sure. I think we all agree there. Glock, did you have a chance to look through it a little bit maybe?
Yeah, I looked through it, but I kind of wanted to piggyback on what Nagata said. Basically, as a streamer who's on social media constantly, you guys probably see the tweets all the time of people getting burned out on streaming and then asking people like, why doesn't anybody come to my channel and stuff like that. There's so much that goes on. You watch people stream and you think they're just playing a game or whatever. You don't see the the video editing. If you're trying to do YouTube behind the scenes, you don't see the social networking. You don't see all the other stuff you're doing behind the scenes. It's not easy to grow your channel. Everyone thinks that, just like everyone tried jumping on the Fortnite hype, and how you're going to get seen on Fortnite when there's literally thousands and thousands of viewers and you're at the very bottom of the page, like 10, 15 pages down there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy whatsoever. And like, I think in the report, it started saying something about Fortnite viewers going down and stuff like that.
Yep.
And it's because people stop, a lot of people just have given up on streaming Fortnite because it's so hard, because there's, top 10 people are at like, 40, 30,000 views.
Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, that actually goes into last year and the past couple of years, I would say too. I think part of the reason why stream blew up is because of Fortnite.
Absolutely.
Because it was so huge and integrated there. So you had kind of like the perfect storm of situations. You had Fortnite came out, which was this super great streaming game that was massively popular. Then, like Nagata said, you had Prime really being pushed, and that was a huge deal. Amazon went really hard with marketing for Prime. You saw like the biggest records ever for subs during that time, and since then, subs has gone down a lot. Fortnite's gone down a lot. So I think that is why you see some drop off now. But I don't think it's like, some people are getting very alarmed by this on Twitter, but I really don't think it's a huge, red flag deal, because there was just so much happening over the past couple of years that was hard to sustain over time. So I think this is natural. Like I said, I don't think it's a mark of Twitch dying or anything. I don't think Mixer is going to surpass Twitch anytime soon, personally. Although I'm sure Mixer streamers are excited to see the growth of the platform. Nagata, you were talking about before we started how like there were some layoffs there, but now it looks like they're still doing pretty well overall. Yeah.
I think it's gonna be one of those things where as platforms are on the come up, like I'm a big I guess you could say shadow supporter of YouTube Live, because for a long time I was just like, okay, YouTube gaming, like look at the sheer number of people that are on YouTube. How do you screw this up? And trust me, as somebody who tried to stream on YouTube gaming, you can screw this up. So it's just like thoughts were like, okay, and now they've essentially segued away from YouTube gaming specifically, and they've reintegrated the gaming aspect as a singular entity back into YouTube itself. So it's something to watch in terms of like the metrics for YouTube, or like YouTube gaming or YouTube Live, whatever you want to call it, because it's not a separate entity anymore. They've, Big Brother came along and kind of like, put his arm around the shoulder and like, okay, let me take you back in. We'll get you sorted. So like they're gonna be on the come up, and the same thing like Mixer is on the come up. Like when you're niche, everything's huge. Like when you have growth, like everything is huge. Like Twitch can have like marginal declines, but the sheer scope of Twitch is such that your marginal decline is going to get the most reaction because it's just so large, right? Mm-hmm. So the rest of them are just like, yeah, we're on the come up, we're doing great, and everyone's going to be on board with it. It's like, I think that in terms of like expectations, it's something to kind of just like try to see it from like a little more objective perspective. When you're in it, you're just like, yes, absolutely, we're going to overtake, we're going to become the number one, you know. But everything else kind of just like, just kind of keep an eye on it and don't overreact, because there's going to be a lot of things that are going to like elicit reactions over the next few years on every platform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think we'll have to keep an eye on it, and I think regardless of what platform you're on, there's a lot of potential. So we'll have to see what happens over the next few years. So that was the big thing. Another thing that got slightly mentioned, I know this was talked about on Vel's stream, was that apparently people were pushing for a boycott of Twitch during Prime Day, because if you're on Twitch, you saw all the Prime Day stuff for the past week. They were really just pushing ads on every channel, sending emails, everything. But apparently, some people wanted to boycott Twitch because they're owned by Amazon for Prime Day due to Amazon worker conditions. I will post a link to that in the chat as well. But Vel, again, I know that you kind of talking about this on your stream. What are your thoughts on this?
All right. So I don't want to say that like it doesn't matter, because obviously that's a terrible thing to have to deal with, and like I totally, you know, stand behind, you know, any employee that feels that they've been overworked or anything. Like it's never a good thing at all. But when it comes down to it, like someone messaged me saying you better not be streaming today, and I was like, what? And so I had to ask him, like, I don't even know what's going on, because I didn't even know about the boycott or anything. And even if I did, I still would have been streaming. I still would have been streaming on Twitch. You know, like he was like, you should stream on YouTube or Facebook today. I'm like, not really like a last minute thing to do. And but you know, like as a content creator, like I have people that rely on me to stream at a certain place at a certain time. I can't just change it up or anything. And as much as like it does suck, like I need to do what my community wants. You know what I mean? I can't just like willy-nilly switch over to D Live for a day. You know, we're boycotting Twitch for right now, so everybody come over here and watch me. Like that's gonna suck for everybody. You know what I mean? So I understand the thought process behind boycotting, but I don't think that streamers, I mean, unless that streamer wants to, but trying to like force a streamer to not stream that day because of it is not the play at all.
Yeah, I feel that. Glock, did you guys hear about this at all over the week? Or is this sort of brand new news to you?
I didn't hear about it until you sent the link over. I was like, what is this?
I didn't actually hear about it until I was in Vel's stream, and then I did some digging to find this. But apparently there's a subreddit post about it that got some traction, and I guess people were DMing streamers to tell them not to stream from Vel's.
Or DMing me.
Just you, apparently.
Yeah, right.
Glock, did you hear anything about it?
I did. I knew about it like coming into it, and there were folks within my own community that were very they were pushing me not to stream on Twitch that day, and we had like long discussion about this. And like the biggest problem that I always have with I guess you could call them segmented boycott is your 2-day your 2-day boycott or your 2-day protest, whatever you want to call it, has no impact. You know, it's like you have a bunch of people that they get on Reddit or they get on Twitter or they get on whatever, and just like, we're going to boycott. Amazon's the worst. Twitch is the worst. Now, excuse me while I go watch Twitch on Wednesday. You know, like it's like you didn't do anything. You haven't supported anything, you know, like you might as well like, you know, offer like thoughts and prayers at that point to the boycott. Like it's not you're not doing anything. You know, all you're really doing is harassing people. Like I'm sorry, Val. I know you know what I mean? Like
useless thing to do ever. It's
that's
so
what I'm
perfect.
saying, bro.
It's so funny.
Like
thoughts and prayers, bro.
Like
good luck.
You're coming after like myself or like Val, and it's just like, oh yeah, you should stream somewhere else. Like, yeah, excuse me, let me uproot my livelihood for a day because you're upset over what's trending on Twitter. No. You know, it doesn't make any sense. You know, it's like if you're really invested in it, great. If you want to boycott Twitch forever, great. You want to boycott Amazon forever, great. Until the workers get what they're looking for. And I do not want to undermine the process of what they are doing. They feel that they are in an unfortunate position with a massive, literally like one of the biggest companies on the planet. And I understand that struggle, but people who jump in for a day or for 2 days or whatever, and then try to push it like this is like their life. No. That doesn't work that way. You know, it's like support how you can. Do not like try to like hammer somebody who is just trying to like get on their day to day and do right by their community and whatnot. I don't get into that whatsoever. So my own community, myself, I just went back and forth, and in the end of the day, I'm just like, don't tell me what to do. You know, it's like I believe in your belief. Yeah, right. It's like, I believe in your belief, and I believe I'm gonna go hit live now. And
thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers. You know?
Yeah, I think it's it definitely didn't get a whole lot of traction from when I saw. It seemed like most streamers were still streaming on that day. Yeah. And I saw some different responses to that, even in that subreddit post, from people who worked at Amazon who were like, why are we doing this? Like, what? I don't have an issue. My job's fine. So, I mean, it probably differs a lot from plant to plant or whatever. And maybe if you guys are watching right now and you've been employed by Amazon, or you are employed by Amazon, and you have thoughts on this because you have a more personal experience, I'd love to have you call in and give your thoughts and kind of discuss this more. But just thought I'd bring that up because there was some traction there. Okay, so moving on to some miscellaneous news now, some smaller things. First of all, YouTube added some more ways to monetize their live streaming, which is kind of cool. I didn't look through all the details, but the gist was that there are new subscription options, additional merchandise partners, so I'm thinking like Teespring type thing, and another way to receive tips during live streams. So if you want to read more about that, the link is there in the chat. I don't think we have a whole lot of YouTube streamers here, but just thought I'd mention it just in case. Also, some small updates to Twitch overall. There are some chat updates, which I think they've been doing these for a while, but they just announced it this week for some reason. So that is, for example, you can share your resub streak in the chat now, like put a little message there. They also moved the viewer list to the top right for no discernible reason in the chat box, and people were very confused about that. Some other little things, it'll like tell you if it's, this chat's in emote only mode or this chat's in sub only mode. So just a small little quality of life thing, I think. Did you guys have any thoughts on that at all?
Which one?
Any of it. I don't know. It's kind of just a small thing, but I'm not sure if maybe any of you felt strongly about it.
I'm just confused why they would even move the viewer list thing. What was the point of that? Like, no, it looks better in the top right.
Yeah. I saw a comment that was like, some UI designer just needed to justify his salary at Twitch or something.
Look, guys, I'm doing something. Look at
I'm making changes.
I honestly thought I lost my viewer list for like.
That's what I thought too. I thought they took it away.
Yeah.
I heard that comment from a lot of people who were just like, is it gone? Did they take it away?
Yeah.
The activity feed, you can't click on their names anymore to bring them to their channel. Like that used to be a thing. So like somebody followed or whatever and you want to go check out their channel, you used to be able to just click on their name in the activity feed, which was really nice and convenient. And then they removed that, which seems like a downgrade that they worked on. You know what I mean? Like, what can we do today? Let's make things worse. Okay, cool. I love it.
Great plan.
Promoted. Thoughts and prayers.
Changes around here. Last small thing was that slow mode got changed from 120 seconds to 30 seconds. So I don't know if that really affects any of us here because I can't imagine we use slow mode too much. But just thought I'd mention it because it is news. Yeah. So that's most of it for the news this week. If you guys think I missed something, please let me know. We can go over it. You're more than welcome to call in or just tag us in chat with your comments. I will go ahead and check to make sure we don't have any calls because you do get priority as a call, which I should explain really quickly. So if you want to call into the show, just type !calls. You get a link to our Discord. Jump in there and join a voice chat channel, and we will bring you onto the show after you accept the friend request. You can join the panel here in the bottom left, talk about whatever your question is, and we'll go around and discuss it. If you can't get the Discord for any reason, don't worry. You can just tag us in the chat with your question. It can be related to anything. Something that we talked about on the show today in the news category, or something for your personal channel that you're struggling with. It could be viewership, could be game directory, whatever it is, we'll go through it. We do have one question from offline I want to go through here. It's from Chef Monkey, and this is referring to something that happened a couple months back. So he says, back in May, there was a Twitch streamer who got removed from his stream team for using an LGBTQ tag on Twitch because in the stream team rules and guidelines, they only wanted specifically gaming-related tags being promoted. You guys remember hearing about this story maybe a little bit? I think we talked about it here a while back. Maybe not, but I saw it going around. But his question is this a good idea? Does it end up resulting in more controversy? I guess the reason that they did it is because they wanted to avoid, non-gaming related tags. Some people thought that was like an excuse to just take that tag off of there. So this guy's question is, was this a good idea? Did it just end up resulting in more controversy? Or do you think maybe it was justified because he should have seen the agreement when he joined the stream team in the first place? I'll throw this to Nagata first. What do you think?
I am not a fan of trying to eliminate's not the right word. You don't get rid of a tag, or you don't like get rid of a person because they have a tag. All right. It's we live in a world that has every kind of person, color, creed, whatever you want to call it. Everybody has got like their thing going on. If you're like, and especially like we always say this in like the gaming community, it's just like there's no borders, there's no like, skill gap to get in or anything like that. It is just a matter of just like we're all supposed to be here and like together and having a good time and all that kind of stuff. Why a company would put in their terms of service that you can't put this tag that essentially says whether you actively support or passively support or whatever else the LGBTQ community is, that's something unto itself. But there's no upside to this situation. There's no upside to say you can't use this tag, because the attention that you're going to draw from getting rid of the tag is so much worse for you. Like, what is going to possibly happen to this company to leave the tag in? It's just going to be the status quo. The other 99.999% of the platform allow this tag. This attention that came to this particular company and this particular person was just straight up negativity. Like there was no win. So like for me, I'm just like, just don't try to exclude anybody in a platform that we all can agree on is to promote inclusivity.
For sure. Glock, do you have thoughts on this situation? Did you hear about it maybe earlier this year?
I heard about it. It's just one of those touchy situations. It's very, and I agree with what Locke said, but there's so many questions you can ask, like what other tags were in there, whatever. But ultimately, I don't remember exactly who the company was or the stream team was that said you couldn't use it, but you have to know it's 2019 and all the things that are going on in the world. You had to have known something bad could have happened by telling people they can't use that tag. It's like, just like, like my chat, like I tell people all the time, I'm a very religious person, but I do not talk about my religion or anything on my Twitch, on my channel. I leave religion and politics and all that stuff out. It does not get discussed because it's just so touchy nowadays. And it's like, and as soon as I read that story a while ago, it's like, you had to know something bad was going to happen. It was just so stupid to even mention. You can't put that in there. It's like, what did you think was going to happen?
Never ends well, that's for sure.
I mean, you could. I mean, I've seen people comment and say, "Oh, well, he should have known. It said it in there." Yeah, sure, but either way, it was going to turn out well. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I see that argument where he should have seen it, but it shouldn't have been there in the first place. So.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what at least 90% of people are going to agree with. So, but it was just like, I don't know. I don't think it's a smart move.
Yeah. Plus, there's also like a lot of talk lately about smaller, younger content creators kind of getting taken advantage of by these contracts that they don't fully read, which is their fault, but they're also kind of predatory by nature, and that's a whole issue this year as well. Val, do you have thoughts on this?
I'm wondering if it's like one of those Dr. Disrespect style publicity stunts. You know what I mean? No, I don't think that at all.
I was like, wow.
Illuminati.
Coming out of left field over here. But no, I mean, just like they were saying, like you shouldn't exclude anybody like just because they're trying to support something that's not, aggressive or negative in any way. You know what I mean? Like, just spreading more negativity is not a good idea. It's just like, why would you even do that? And I mean, ultimately it is their decision, and I think in the long run they're going to pay for making that one. So that's what's kind of cool about it. Nobody's forced to do anything, and for the ones that we don't want to support, we just don't have to. So
I think this is a interesting situation because I mean, it's like you guys said, they shouldn't have been there in the first place, really. And I had thoughts on this. I'm totally blanking now. Yeah, I just think it got addressed earlier. So yeah, what I was gonna say is, from a company perspective, I kind of understand. I think the reason they had this in there is because they wanted to have a clause to, if they needed to remove someone from the stream team. So like, I don't think the issue really was the actual tag when they made this clause. It was they just wanted to protect themselves. But the problem is they made that so that they could have the option of removing someone, and then they removed this person who had that specific tag. So that gives the impression that the company doesn't want to be associated with that. So, I mean, I think that it definitely results in more controversy than, you know, if they were trying to avoid controversy and controversial tags, then opposite effect achieved in that situation.
Yeah, right.
Not a
I wonder
great,
if there's like a deeper reason for doing it. You know what I mean? That they just use that as like kind of like what cops do. Like, you know, if you have like stickers all over your bumper, all over your like bumpers, they can like give you a ticket for having too many stickers. You know, like just like a little like icing on the cake, like an F you to the guy who was being an asshole to the cop. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if there's like some sort of reason that they did that and they just use that as the official, you know, like maybe they just didn't like the person, maybe they did something wrong, or I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. Like, it really is. I think that exists to give them a reason to do that if they want to. So, like, if they don't like someone in their stream, the tag isn't the issue, right? It's the person, and they're just using that tag as an excuse to get you off the team. But in this case, it was this specific tag, so
not
handled very well.
But I mean, like, you gotta wonder though, like, if you have a company that's building out a TOS for someone to sign off on, why not just put in a clause that has, you know, the standard, you know, you can be released at any time because, you know, I had a crappy breakfast this morning. Like, it could be like anything, you know what I mean? Like, the company has their outs if they want it. You know, to cite a clause that had such a like profoundly like negative impact. Like, I'm sure somebody in or if you're like a small company, there's somebody that's wearing many hats, but they would have some kind of like versatility in PR. It would be like, we shouldn't do this, you know, and go like a different route. Like, you could like cite any other reasons. I'm sure there's any number of people who have been in an unfortunate release, termination, whatever you want to call it, for reasons they weren't quite clear on, and that is, you know, that company or stream team or whatever's prerogative. That the fact that we actually don't know what the team name is means that like there was like no impact for like them whatsoever. Because like it's funny because like Val's like, it's a Dr. Disrespect thing, and it's just like like a lot of folks would be there just like, all publicity is good publicity, you know, even when it's the worst publicity. And like, well, we still don't know the person who was involved or the company that was involved, so clearly not, you know, a good situation. But it's a lesson for everybody else. That's like your real takeaway from it. It's a lesson for everybody else that's in the sphere, being like, yes, we, you know, even if you have a policy that's like, it's maybe it's anti-LGBTQ, be like, okay, where's our stance? You know, how do we want to go about this? Like, how badly do you really want to alienate a significant segment of people like around the world?
Right.
You know, if you're gonna do it, then you gung ho it. You don't, you know, you don't sit back and be like, well, you know, because nobody can respect that. Sure. You know, like there are folks that may have a particular viewpoint, and they're mostly going to be feeling strongly about that viewpoint. But when you sit on the fence, or you like, you back and forth, you flip flop or whatever, like there's no there.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the actual stream team was, and I don't know how big the actual company was, if there's a company behind it at all, if it's just, you know, a conglomeration of streamers that made this loose TOS thing. But my gut says it's on the smaller side, which is why this happened the way it did. So yeah. Just interesting to talk about, though. So thanks for that question, Chef Monkey. Appreciate that.
I was going to say, I just took a second, and I have not used tags in forever.
Exactly. That's the other part of this.
There's a lot more tags than I originally remember, and you had to pick that one to. Come on, you could have found another excuse.
That's the other half of that too, right? Is that
I just scrolled through that whole list, dude. There's so many tags.
Yep. But no one even really uses tags anyway. So why even put that clause in there? I mean, you're not going to get that much controversy. I don't know.
From a viewer perspective.
Yeah, I was just curious. Now, like me, I watch a lot of Twitch streams. I don't even search for tags, like, you know. So I think you know, like you said, it's just an excuse.
Yep.
Yeah, because like you guys touched on this. I think it was either last week or a couple of weeks ago. The aspect of Twitch where creators use tags and viewers don't. And so it's like, what was your real impact of like, you know, getting rid of this person over a tag that would have really marginal impact on your viewer base because they don't pay attention to it. Like none of them do. I talk to my folks all the time, and it was like, "What do you think is the best tags to like bring people in?" And it was like, "I don't know. I don't click on any of the tags." You know, you know, and like streamers, like the way that it, like the Twitch originally like pitched tags like ages ago, they're just like, "Yes, this is gonna be, you know, the golden goose, and everyone's gonna, you know, click on like Rainbow Six and go see Val," you know, and it's just like fantastic. But it's like you have like no idea because like people are creatures of habit, and they hit following, and then they go Val, and then they watch, you know, and it's like every so often it's like, well, you know, Val's not online, I'm gonna hit browse, who's online right now? And that's I can't speak for you three, but for me, like that's what I do when I have like streams that like the vast majority of my streams are like offline. I'm like, okay, let's hit the browse button, you know, who's around, who's fun, you know, and like pop in and, you know, kick back and lurk for a little bit. And, you know, if they're a half decent human being, you hit the follow button and go from there.
Right. Yeah, I think that's definitely, that's why I keep pushing for tag changes, hopefully later in the year with the new search feature or something.
Yeah.
Holding out hope we'll see that. Let's keep going to chat questions though. Remember guys, if you call into the show, you get priority, so you can skip the line, get in here faster. We do have a question from Mall_man. Said, what are your opinions on the streaming platform Caffeine? Which, have you guys heard of Caffeine? I know what that is, but okay. So
I haven't.
It is a new streaming platform that is, and there's a lot of new streaming platforms popping up these days, but it's kind of like minimalist from what I've seen in the past. It's very like get right into a stream. There's not a whole lot of bells and whistles to it. So I'm curious, Vel and Nagata, you've both seen it. Maybe start with Vel. What are your kind of thoughts on Caffeine?
Okay, so I haven't watched anything on Caffeine. I've heard of Caffeine for a while now. It seems interesting because I believe there's no delay in between, you know, the streamer, you know, performing whatever action and the viewers actually seeing it. So that's kind of cool. Aside from being stream sniped in a competitive game, that would suck a lot. But aside from that, all that I really heard about them is that they do a lot of like live performance streams. Like, you know, I think they did like some sort of X Games or something like that or something. I don't know too much about gaming on the platform though, to be honest. To me, it's just another platform that's not Twitch. So there's, you know, I've tried to go look at other platforms before, and I've never been impressed, or should I say, like, I've never had the urge to like start watching more people on that platform, or, you know, switch over myself by any means.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right, but there's something with the sports involvement with Caffeine too, right? They're kind of pushed for, you know, sporty activity stuff. Nagata, you've had experience with it too a little bit, or seen it some?
Yeah. So you guys actually, you hit it right on the head. They're the biggest like draw for Caffeine is the seamless like streaming element to it, I guess you could say. Like talk about like live sports, live performances, whatnot. It's too bare bones right now. So it's got a cool niche, and if it gets fleshed out, then it you know, it could go somewhere. But like one of the things that with competition is that, you know, the bigger folks are just they're just going to take your stuff. So like when we were talking on this before the podcast started about how like one of the like Mixer's biggest selling points was at the time like 2-second switch over between cast and what was on the stream. And you have all these folks that are just like, yes, I because some folks don't even realize at this point anymore that Twitch used to be like 20 seconds, and then it was 11 seconds, and it was 7 seconds, you know, and now it's at a pretty good spot, typically about 3 when you have the right settings like put into place. But now you have like Caffeine, and it's bare bones for that reason, because like Mixer went through the same thing. They started out super bare bones so that you have as little stress on their side as possible in order to be able to like transcode and stream out to the platform as quickly as possible. Caffeine's the same thing. It's very, very bare bones, and it's just like go, you know. But if it gets big enough, I feel that they'll either be bought or their tech will be replicated by larger platforms. So it's a wait and see thing. It's far too early to tell, in my humble opinion, what'll happen with something like that. You hit it on the head. That there's so many new platforms. There's I'm sure all of our inboxes are full of, hey, person I've never heard of, I love your stuff on Twitch. Why don't you click this link? You know, and like, no. And so it's like, you know, absolutely. And you say,
thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, exactly. You know, thoughts and prayers. you know, like, you know, good for you, good try. But like, I had no idea, and I'm probably never gonna have any idea. You know, so
We reserved your name on this new platform you never heard of.
yeah, exactly. You know, come get it.
Yep.
You know?
Glock, so I know you're not too familiar with caffeine, but what do you think of just new streaming platforms in general? Like, I think even D Live kind of fits into here.
I just was looking it up, and it just reminds me of, you know, I'm a big MMA fan. It's like the UFC, and then you got Bellator. It's basically Twitch, Mixer,
Yep.
and just no one's gonna dethrone the top. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
It's just, you know, they keep coming out. People are gonna find some success on it, but it's not gonna be the same as Twitch. Twitch is just too popular.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's-
Definitely agree.
Yeah.
And I think going back to the Streamlabs report, like that kind of makes it even more apparent because we're seeing streamership drop across the platforms, with
Mhm.
the exception of YouTube. And although viewership hours are going up on the platforms, the thing is it's hours and not actual number of users. So it's tough to say whether you're getting a lot of more people watching or if it's just people watching more who are already watching. And you know, it kind of goes further, like drastically down with each new platform. Like a D Live isn't even on the chart. So caffeine is, man, I think it's gonna be tough for them to kind of break into the field at this point because it's so saturated. For sure.
It's gonna be a tough spot, and especially when you look at D Live, they had a lot of like VC money come in first. That's like what really like set them apart. They got to leapfrog a ton of small platforms because they had capital right off the bat. They went for PewDiePie. You know, like they signed PewDiePie to an exclusive live streaming deal. He doesn't go to YouTube live to live stream. He goes to another platform entirely. That's a good chunk of change, you know, to pull the biggest YouTuber like on the planet to come to another completely unknown platform. So like they've got money to do it, and like we talked on this earlier about like some folks jump to Mixer and then they come back from Twitch to specify. And there's a lot of folks, the same thing. I'm like, I'm going to go to D Live, you know, especially when you see affiliates who have been trying to get to Twitch partner for a long time and they can't do it. And they're, you know, they've got 8,000 followers and they're doing like 50 or 60 concurrents and they can't break through. And in their head, they're just like, well, I can't get partner. I'm going to go to, in a lot of cases, like, I'm going to go to D Live. I'm going to go get paid. I'm going to get mine. You know, and then they go to D Live and it's just like, well, here's my platform that has potential money and no viewership, so I still can't get paid anyway. And I alienated so many folks because it's like, come with me to D Live, and then it's like, nah, it's pretty comfortable over here. They got a nice couch. I'm gonna sit on this.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to help you move. I want to sit on my couch. You know, so you know, they just stay on Twitch, and it was just like such a lose for so many folks, you know, unfortunate. And like we make light of him, crack a joke, but like the truth of the matter is like so many folks bit into it. The idea that like, I'm gonna get mine, I'm gonna get paid, you know, and then you go to D Live and they don't, because a fledgling platform is still a fledgling platform. You know, like Twitch went through so many headaches that everyone's kind of just forgotten about at this point over the years, you know, because one of the biggest things that everyone forgets is that like Twitch had no competition. Every time Twitch like stumbled, and Twitch stumbled a lot, we all know it. Like Twitch stumbled a lot in its early years. There is nobody else to say, well, I'm going to go to fill in the blank. No, there's no other fill in the blank. They're just going to watch them stumble, stand there, wait till they get up, brush themselves off, and keep going.
Yeah.
You know, and they had to do it over and over and over. Think of the amount of times that you couldn't go live because like servers were too stressed, you know, like little things like that. Like I used to see it all the time from like the esports perspective. Like the struggles, because like all of a sudden, like you would go, like a channel would just pull in 10,000 people, 25,000 people, 150,000 people, and Twitch couldn't cope.
Yeah, for a while there.
You know, like they really couldn't cope with that kind of stuff. And so you'd have major events that literally could not get their product out to a significant viewership, you know, because Twitch wasn't prepared. But there was no one else to be like, we're more prepared. You know, like, come over here. We'll show you how prepared we are. Now Twitch is in the position where it's like, well, you're looking okay there, caffeine. I'll come check on you later, you know, and see what's going on at that point in time. Like it's just a different landscape entirely when it comes to the way things work nowadays.
Right. And I think like if you want to try caffeine, there's no harm in trying it.
No.
But it all sort of depends on what you want to get out of your stream. If you're jumping platforms because you think you'll have a better chance of growing there, think you'll be surprised if you look long term at it, unless you have something really compelling in some really specific situation. I don't think a platform change is going to solve your content issue, basically.
No.
So, but good question though from Wallman. I appreciate that. We have another question from Sestriuto. Says, do you know any voice actors / actresses who stream on Twitch? Not just their voice acting if they do, but also gaming and just chatting. And do you know if they have grown in either voice acting, affiliate, or partner because of it? You guys know any voice actors off the top of your head?
I can't think of her name right now. I feel really bad, but the girl that does the voice for the mage in Realm Royale, she actually streams and she's actually gotten a couple of gigs. She started streaming and she was contacted by other games when they found out she's the voice actress for the mage in our game, and she's been working with other games as well. So that actually I can't think of her Twitch name right now. I'm sorry, but yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I do know someone. Yeah.
Nice. And it seems like she's gotten a lot from that in terms of gigs and stuff. I've known a couple of them. I'm blanking on somebody. I think in the True team. Well, Britt Wolf does like reading. I'm not sure if he does actual acting. Maybe he does. I feel like there's someone else. I'll keep thinking about that. And there's also like Duck Sauce, who was a big streamer for a while, who's a voice actor. I think he like moved away from streaming to focus more on voice acting or something. But there's definitely a lot of overlap between those two kind of professions. If you have a good speaking voice for voice acting, you probably have a good speaking voice for streaming, so that makes sense. Locke, do you know anybody who does that?
Not Twitch specifically. I know a few voice actors, but they're very specific in staying on YouTube, mainly because of the sheer level of like editing capabilities that you have. Everything's in post, you know what I mean? Like you can have a voice actor can have a rough day like anybody else, and you don't want to be able to like pin the quality of your work on a live broadcast where you may have woken up with a hoarse voice. You know, like you woke up one day and it's like, well, my voice isn't that great. I just won't make a video on YouTube and go from there. So like they all, from what I've seen, the vast majority stay on the YouTube platform.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. And yeah, I do think Britt Wolf does do some sort of voice acting. I'm not totally sure how involved he is. I thought there was one other person who did voice acting on the team. I can't, like maybe Duero is a new Duero Scholar. He's a brand new true partner. I feel like he might do it. I'll come back to that if I can think of the other person. But there's definitely a lot of people who do that, and it definitely results in growth if you can make it work. So very cool. Next question comes from Jupiter Elicius. Hopefully I said that right.
Probably not.
Probably not. I butcher a lot of names on here, that's for sure. Alicius, maybe? Jupiter Alicius, we'll call him that. Do you guys think if these other niche platforms could nab a solid amount of streamers by offering salaries and entice them to transfer over, they would see more growth and maybe gain some leverage over the streaming giants? Not saying you would instantly topple them, but gain more ground in the market. Okay, fair enough question. So do you guys think if, Mixer, DLive, Caffeine made these big monetary offers, which they have in the past, do you think they would make up a noticeable ground in the streaming market? Vel, what do you think about that?
I think they could, if the content creators bring over their communities the right way and everything. I mean, I think it would bring more attention to their platforms, which in return would obviously, bring more viewership, which would bring more streamers and everything. You can bring more streamers easily by just, the payment options. That always gives like a hook for people who just want to go get paid. So, but bringing over communities will bring over more attention, which brings over new viewers to come check it out and everything, which could definitely work. Yeah, I mean, I think it could work. I still wouldn't do it, but just because it's still a new platform that's not as established as Twitch. I don't know. I still think there's a lot of people like me, and I'm assuming, other people in here as well might agree with me that, just sticking to Twitch, even though you might get paid more somewhere else as like a salary, I think sticking to Twitch might be the play.
For sure. Glock, what are your thoughts on being paid as Twitch platforms? Do you think it would result in meaningful growth of other platforms?
I think it would help grow a little bit, but that's a risk that company has to take, or even the streamer too, because if it doesn't work out, imagine trying to move your community back to Twitch after you just ditched them, and it'd be hard to get a big enough name to move over and create that kind of a dent. I think it could work, but it'd be really, really tough.
Definitely. Block, what do you think?
Um, I think that there's two big problems with the scenario. I think the scenario is like interesting in principle, but you're gonna need a lot of capital, like a lot of capital to, even if you're paying folks like minimum wage, you're going to need a significant amount of money to be able to draw anybody away from an established platform to come over, because like in the end, like we're basically talking about like influencer marketing, right? It's like you've got a person who has got a community and they're the head of that community, and they're like, okay, I want to come over here and you will all come with me, and like we touched on earlier, PewDiePie is the biggest of the big, bar none. And he went to DLive and he draws well, but he has 90 million subscribers. He doesn't draw that well, so it's like you just take that and like you can shrink it down and have like like a microcosm of like what that actually means. But the truth of the matter is that you would need a lot, because it's not really like, in my opinion, it's not the influencer, it's the wave. You need a lot of influencers. You need the mob. Like you need the mob to come with you. You don't need 1,000 people for 10 influencers. You need 1 million people for 10,000 influencers. You know what I mean? And like you have to have the mob mentality. It's like we talked about this earlier about how like Fortnite was like the biggest game, like all this kind of stuff. There is a mob mentality about Fortnite. There's a reason why like my boss of 55 years old is talking to me in a water cooler about Fortnite, because like it's like it's reached a point where it's not even just the casual audience, it is the entirely like unaware audience is aware of it. You're now aware of it. And that's why their 8-year-old, daughter has jumped on board with Fortnite and they've never even heard of this game before. Like that's like the big difference maker. You need the wave, you need the tidal wave, to make that kind of stuff work. So for me, I would say no. That salaries would be, I think that salaries is a great idea, in that there are so many extraordinarily talented creators who are not getting a significant monetary return, but in the grand scheme of things, it would just be a money sink, to go down that route.
I definitely personally agree, and this has been done a lot in the past. I want to mention there, especially with Mixer, when that kind of first started getting traction, there was a lot of people who got paid to go to Mixer, and then of course PewDiePie being the huge example for DLive. And yes, like they've gotten some ground in the streaming market. I think we can't argue that. Mixer is definitely making a dent a little bit. DLive very much less so, but still maybe there's some notoriety because of PewDiePie now. But I don't personally ever see any platform ever taking Twitch ever with this type of live streaming gaming platform, unless we see something very brand new that has like a very different offering of some kind. I personally don't think that Mixer, DLive, Caffeine, even YouTube really is going to topple Twitch. And YouTube, Twitch, kind of different things, so I don't know if that counts. But so like while yes, it'll make a dent, I don't think it's personally the right move. Especially because the big problem with this is if you go to the smaller platforms as a streamer, it might feel good to get like a slight boost initially when you get there. Like maybe you get to a higher amount of viewers, but then you have that realization that you just hit the ceiling. There's nowhere left to go after that point. And that feels like, oh man, what did I just do? Now I have to go back to Twitch if I want to grow it all, because I've hit everyone there is on this platform. There's no one more to watch. So I think that's the big issue with these platforms. And like Locke said, there's just no like huge reason to, as a viewer, go to these other platforms yet, unless they have some sort of big thing happening. And Twitch is just sort of now getting to that point you were talking about with the mob mentality, where it's starting to become more commonplace, where people have heard of Twitch streaming, what that is. Mixer, Caffeine, deal nowhere on the map. They're not even close to that. So I don't see any other platform being able to make enough of a viewership ground to justify it. And while I do think, maybe that's right for you as a streamer, if you want more stable income, if you want more opportunities to work with the brand directly and transition your career, then that's a good reason to switch. But in terms of, should I jump to Mixer because I think I can boost Mixer over Twitch? I don't ever see it happening personally. That's just me though. But good question, Jupiter. I'll give you some more thoughts.
I was going to say, just for example, you're talking about bringing people over and paying them salary to stream somewhere. I just was looking at the browse page on Twitch, and I remember when Apex dropped and all these streamers were paid to play Apex,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone started calling it the Fortnite killer and everything. Fortnite's sitting at 120,000 views. Apex is barely over 20,000.
Mm-hmm.
You know, look how fast that died off, and look how many. I know a lot of streamers that stopped playing Fortnite to play Apex, and their viewerships dropped. So that's the risk you take going to a completely different platform. Sorry. But no, it's just an example. That's on the same platform. Imagine going to a different platform, and you know how Twitch's communities are, and they're loyal to Twitch. You know, it's gonna be way harder to go to a different platform than it is just to play a different game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it'd be extremely difficult to do.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think since we're kind of peaking a little bit right now with the streaming platform scene, I think it's gonna be even more hard now, because maybe if you were jumping into it like Mixer did when there was still a lot of hype and build up going on, it would work. But I think it's gonna be even harder now that you're kind of seeing the king Twitch kind of peak a little bit.
Yeah.
So we'll see. All right, so moving on to the next question. Let me pull that up here. We have a caller, actually. British Avenger, All Reliable, is going to join us here on the show. So let me add him into the call really quick here. I think it's just British. Yeah, just British Avenger on Discord. Okay. Send him a call right now, see if he picks up. British, you there?
Yeah.
Hey, man, how are you?
How are you? I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Welcome back to the show once again. What do you want to talk about this week?
So, I kind of want to add what I talked about last week about like my content wise, and like I enjoy watching my own content because like you guys said, like rewatch it if you enjoy it, but also you're happy with your content. But I feel like my content is too simple, if that makes sense. Because I look at my content in a way where like anyone can do it. And it's like, it's like to me it just looks too simple. Like anyone can get to like the stage where I am at. Is there like do I need to change something, or do I just need to stay out of my own head?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually, because that's kind of the whole, mystery and the illusion of Twitch, right? Is that, oh, that's so easy, I could do that. For any top streamer, people have that feeling initially. So what do you guys think? Should he try and mix up his content, make it more interesting, or is it just something in his head right now? Vel, what do you think?
I think if you think that your content is something that other people could also produce, then it's definitely time to start shaking things up for sure. Like, not only do you have to enjoy your content, it's a little bit more than that. Do you think that you would enjoy your content more than watching somebody else? You know what I mean? Like, is my content more entertaining than somebody else's, or are they better than me, or are we the same? Like, you always want to try to like be like the best on the block. You know what I mean? You always want to be the one that kind of stands out. You don't want to be just another streamer just playing video games and just having fun streaming. Like Twitch is so much more than that when it comes to trying to grow your channel. So start watching streamers and get inspiration from them and see what you like about their channel that you don't see in other ones. You know what I mean? Like, try to find those things that will separate you from people and get inspiration from those. It's a really long, tedious process of just trying to better yourself as a streamer. And it's not easy. You're gonna have to work at it every day and just remind yourself that you're not just streaming or you're not just playing video games, is that you're putting on a show. You're trying to entertain people, not just play video games and talk to them, because like that's basically what Twitch is. But there's also so much more than that like there's just so much more when it comes down to it that you need to separate yourself from other people with. So go watch other streamers, get inspiration from them, and try to be the best streamer that you can be, and just try to be better than people. Don't ever have the actual attitude of I'm better than people, but always just try to make your stuff better. I like to call it being competitive but staying humble. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just keep trying to kick ass, man.
Sure. Yeah, I think it definitely depends on what you want to get out of it too. Like if growth is a huge priority for you and you decide that that's what you want to do, then I think what you said is right, Phil, that it becomes more than just playing games at that point. You're putting on a show and you're trying to make yourself stand out from the crowd, right?
Right.
For sure. Glock, do you have thoughts on this for British? Maybe kind of figuring out whether you should mix up your content or just in your head a little bit?
Well, I think as streamers, you're always kind of in your own head, but at the same time, if you're questioning your own content, then you should look into like what you could do better. Like, when you're streaming, I don't know what you stream, but if you see other people doing what you're doing, then yeah, sure, it's gonna be kind of hard to get more people over there because they can watch anybody else do it. But you should always be looking for ways, whether you're doing the same stuff or not, looking for more ways to impress people or just better your content every day. It doesn't, you're not, and I don't think you're just in your own head. It's just a streamer mentality. You always want to be better. You always want to be the best. Like Belek said, he said, it's a competitive mind state, and that's just kind of how it is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So if you're questioning your content, then go back, look at it, and see what you can do better. Maybe we all can do better.
Absolutely, yeah. Nagata, you have thoughts for British Avenger here?
Actually, my first question would be for British then. British, what do you play?
I mainly play Rainbow Six Siege.
Okay. So my question for you then is, what do you like in the streams that you watch?
I like it, like competitive, and the people just discuss all type of topic.
Okay. So do you like, one of the things that a lot of folks like touch on when it comes to like content creation is like they look at it as pillars. Okay. So there's professional play, there's education, and there is entertainment. Right. So when you watch Rainbow Six, do you watch Rainbow Six because you like the information that's flowing through it? Do you watch it because you like, people getting like insane flicks? Like what do you look for first? Because I asked that question because what you look for is going to be important in how you mold your own content.
Like when I look for Siege streams, it's really a mix, but most of like what I try look for is like somewhat competitive, like even education, like people just teaching like newer players how to like be better.
Okay. So do you feel in your own content that you provide education to your viewers?
Yes.
Okay. So what I would suggest then is if you feel it's like simple isn't necessarily a bad thing. That's one of the things that we should probably like put out like right off the bat. But if you feel that you're providing educational content, albeit simple educational content, I would suggest looking to try to elevate your knowledge rather than thinking about big presentation, because like people will chase knowledge. Like they'll have websites that are dedicated to metrics and success rates and why headshots work for XYZ opponents on XYZ maps, like things like that. Like there's a whole world out there for you if you're providing education. People will seek it out. It isn't necessarily about your visual presentation. That may not be like what you want to chase after. It's like, think about like what you chase after yourself as a viewer, because that's going to provide the most passion for you. That's going to provide like the fuel for you to elevate the content that you have. So that would be my suggestion. Not to simplify, but read up. Like take the opportunity to ramp up what you can to educate the audience that you have, and I think it will assist as you keep growing.
Mm-hmm. I think educational content too is great because it tends to be a little harder to find, which is probably why you like to find it on Twitch. And it just helps you stand out more because there's not a lot of people doing it. So if you put the time in there and make, this is a great great avenue for additional content for YouTube, Instagram, like making guides and things to kind of supplement that. And then maybe you do like, coaching reviews on stream or VOD reviews of pro games or something. And there's a lot of cool stuff you could do there that you don't see every day in the Siege directory that would help you stand out that way, if that's something that you feel like you want to do. That's what I would say.
So I actually just pulled up one of your VODs. And I got one thing I gotta say is this guy's an absolute savage. Like I've played Siege before, and just one thing I will point out, if you want a little bit of advice, is I did watch you do one of your little warm ups, and you really didn't say a single word. You're probably just warming up, but like a lot of people love commentary. Just get used to talking. Even if you don't think anyone's in your chat, just get used to just talking, commentating what you're doing. Because I just watched you do something where I'm sitting here like, how did you know he was there? I would love to know how you knew that guy was there. So it's just always try and get in the habit of commentating what you're doing, whether you think someone's watching or not. I actually call myself a master lurker. I never really talk in chats. I watch without chatting because I got 3 kids. I can't really sit there and chat all day long, but I love to watch. So you may think no one's watching, but that thing says 1. There's someone watching. So always stream as if someone's watching. But you are an absolute savage at this game, dude. Like for real.
Pretty good.
Oh yeah.
British, you have any follow-up questions or thoughts on that?
Like I totally agree with the whole keep talking even if or if you don't know if someone's there or whatever. But of course I'm still a beginner and I'm trying to be better, and I noticed that I don't really talk with in streams.
Mhm.
It depends on mood or if I'm coming back after a break. It's just them 2 things impact it so massively. Sometimes I just don't talk.
Yeah, well, I think that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. If growth is a big priority for you, then it's worth trying to get used to these things that are hard, because that's just part of the process of improving, is getting uncomfortable a little bit until the point where it's just natural. Like I'm sure a lot of us here had that same issue when we started, just very minimal talking maybe. And then over time it gets a lot easier once you practice it, and it just becomes a habit eventually. So I'd say that. But if you just want to stream just for the fun of it, that's a different matter. I'm not sure kind of where you fall on that spectrum of just for the enjoyment versus I really want to grow and move to partnership and full time and all that. What would you say about that spectrum?
So at first, I did look at, of course, it's fun because I enjoy the hell of it. But I did start kind of looking at the business side of it, and I kind of want, like you said, growth will be a big part if you're looking in towards the business side of it, and that's where I want to go.
Gotcha.
With Twitch.
Sure. Yeah. So then in that case, I would definitely try to develop some of those big habits, like I said, and like Glock was saying, they definitely won't be easy at first, a lot of them, but working on them over time will get easier, and you'll build a habit, and that will eventually level up your content if you can make that happen.
Speaking of being a habit, my wife laughs at me all the time because whenever I do play off stream, I'm still commentating. And she'll walk in and go, "You know you're not streaming, right?" I'm like, "Oh, what?" And she goes, "You were talking to yourself." I'm like, "Oh well."
You do that with a lot of stuff in life, honestly, I think.
Yeah, but I never used to do it with video games, and now I do. It's just a habit.
Yeah,
I'll commentate to myself what I'm doing. Okay, there's 2 guys over there. I know this one's gonna push.
Awesome. Brett, do you have any things to add there?
No.
Locke, were you gonna say something there?
I think I just want to touch on something that was a weird anecdote. So when Twitch and it goes to what Block was saying, when Twitch introduced the search function, highest to lowest, lowest to highest, I ran it lowest to highest in Overwatch. I love to watch Overwatch streamers. I am bust ass at the game, but I love to watch it. And you scroll to the bottom, and there's got to be like 250 people with 0 viewers. And I'm like, okay. So I clicked on random people all over. And that was by far the most recurring theme, is that there's nothing being said, just 0. And it's one of the things that a lot of people kind of miss out on while they talk about this subject, about you need to be able to talk to people. Some folks don't speak to anyone, and as a result, because they're not used to having any engagement, they don't even look at their chat. So you could have somebody, viewer 1, that comes in and they're like, hey, how's it going? And nothing, because the habit was such that they didn't say anything, so they weren't expecting a response. So it's really important just to just throw things out there every so often, and for the love of all that is good, keep an eye on your chat. Like anywhere, like just keep an eye on it. And I know like we have a laugh about it, but it's like it's so important. Every single community starts with viewer one or person one. Like it's really, really, and like you see it, like Glock said, like British, like you're clearly like, you're god like a Rainbow Six. The amount of like Overwatch streamers I see that are like GM 4.3 with like 3 viewers, like that shouldn't be a thing. Like that should never be a thing. Like you are evidently like cream of the crop talent. It's just a matter of making sure that people can have the opportunity to recognize that, to come in and get to know you and realize like how great you are, so that you can, as we touched on earlier, like educate. So please, definitely make the concentrated effort to speak, even if it's not comfortable at first, because like nothing's easy at first, but over time, and especially like with habit, things do grow easier for you, and your skill and your engagement will eventually like line up, and you'll do well for it.
One quick thing, I will say that because we've all had to go through the process of trying to talk more, and it's really not easy, but it all comes down to, what do you want more? Do you want to grow your channel, or do you want to be comfortable? Because like if you're comfortable, you're just going to keep doing what you're doing. But if you start pushing yourself every day to be a better streamer, you'll see really, really big amounts of improvement towards the end. Like looking back on any of the VODs or any of the clips from my old streams, it's like it's not, well, one, I'm half the size and no beard, so it's like watching a different streamer in the first place. But but yeah, it's 2 totally different streams, and seeing back and like looking back on that and seeing the progress that I've made as a streamer is very, very rewarding. And I think if you put in the effort, the conscious effort, like Locke was just saying, you'll see it so fast, man. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and man, it's so worth it, I promise you.
Awesome. British, thanks for calling in, man. I appreciate the question.
No problem. You guys gave me some ideas to obviously run by my stream if it works out. It works
Awesome.
out. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Best of luck. We'll see you.
Yeah.
See you, man.
See you guys next week.
Yep. See you then. All reliable. Okay. So let me check in the Discord right now. We don't have any callers, so go back to questions for a bit. So Mall_man has another question. He says, you've mentioned before about playing games for viewership and not necessarily because it's your favorite game. How do you find that game personality combination to start a community? Interesting. That game personality combination. So I guess a combination of the game you're playing and your attitude, but in a community around that for a game you don't necessarily like to play. What do you guys think about this? I'll throw this to maybe Glock first, because you've kind of built this game. Now, I think you like Realm Royale a lot, is my guess. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be playing it. But it seems like it's also kind of good for viewership because of being a less saturated directory.
So, number one, obviously I love it because I just did a 24-hour stream of nothing but Realm Royale, which just sounds crazy, but it flew by. But it can be tough sometimes, especially with a game like that, and it has its bugs, it has its issues, and sometimes it does get very frustrating. I'm not gonna lie, like maybe it was like 4 days ago I actually rage quit on it. Not really rage, I was like, you know what, I'm done for the day. We're raiding out. But the thing is, overall, you enjoy the game and people see that you enjoy the game. Like if you really don't enjoy the game, don't force yourself to play it. Like I don't like Fortnite, I'm not gonna stream Fortnite.
Yeah,
that's just me.
I think there's also a difference between playing a game that you hate for the viewership versus like you like a lot of different games and this one seems the most promising, so I'll choose that one. And you've kind of built a community around a specific game with your community, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, just like I took the day off this morning. I went back to my days as CS and realized I'm not very good anymore. but you saw that you really. Oh yeah, I'm not. I can't play that game no more. So.
But what are your kind of thoughts on building a community around a certain game?
I think that's, for me personally, I think that's kind of the way to go, honestly. Like, if you want to be, I think a lot of the variety streamers nowadays did not start out as a variety streamer. I think they started off as maining a certain game and building their community around a game. But then your viewers tend to like you for your content. Like for me personally, I am wild and crazy, and it doesn't matter what I play. I'm very loud. That's why I have to have such a big compressor on my microphone. But people, it doesn't matter really what I play. I have a loyal viewership for me. But mainly people do watch me play Realm because I know the ins and outs of the game. I can explain anything to you. Weapon, how much damage this weapon do compared to this weapon, this ability, that ability. I agree with building your community around, one game, especially starting out.
Yeah, I think it definitely makes a lot of sense. And like you said, a lot of streamers do build initially off of one game and then slowly transition to other games over time, but the community sticks around because the personality is kind of what keeps them in once they've found them via the game.
You usually see, a lot of people on one game, and then that's when their viewership is puffed up. They go to a different game, all of a sudden just it goes down. How many times have we seen that in the feed? But it's I think you should find your game and what you want to stream and what you're comfortable playing for long hours.
Right. And Val, you've kind of done this a little bit with Rainbow Six lately. What are your thoughts for Mole Man here in terms of playing games for viewership and then also building a community around a certain game?
Okay. Yeah. So don't focus too much on the viewers as much. You know what I mean? Focus on something that you really enjoy. You can find that balance between something that like really like this game and people show up for this, because whatever reason, like Green was saying. I would say just play something that you really do enjoy first. Like that's the main thing. Play something that you have fun doing because you're not going to burn out as easily. And if you're not seeing any growth out of that game, and there's another game that you want to try out, not just because you might see more growth, but you'll also enjoy that game as much or maybe even more. Definitely go try that out some other time. You know what I mean? You got to find that balance. Don't play games that you hate or that you don't really enjoy that much just because you think you might get some growth out of it. Because even though you might get a little bit of growth at first, you're still playing a game that you don't like. And there's nothing worse than being forced to do something that you don't like.
And that comes through in your streams eventually, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, they'll see it and they're going to know that you're not having any fun. And then they're just going to not show up anymore anyways.
Like you said, who wants to watch somebody have a bad time?
Right.
Yep.
I mean, if you see the people that sit there and go, I hate this game, stupid game, but it's like, then why are you playing it?
Yeah.
You're sitting there like watching, like, hey, stupid, play a different game.
No one's making you do that.
Yeah, no one's making you play that game. Play something else.
Nagata, what are your kind of thoughts? Because I mean, all three of you really, you built a community around Dragon Ball mostly, but also fighting games in general.
It very much like works the same way. Like Dragon Ball is niche within niche, and because like the fighting game community as large as it is, and everybody knows what Street Fighter is or knows what like Mortal Kombat is or anything like that. If you were to take like the peak of the fighting game community and put it up against any of like the true like esports monsters, CS:GO, Hearthstone, League of Legends, Dota, like those are like like monsters. The fighting community is classified as niche, so Dragon Ball is like niche within niche. So you draw viewership, and I love the game, love the game. So I would have to because I've literally only streamed it for the last 18 months. It's the only thing that I stream. So like I thoroughly love the game, but like if your motivation isn't entirely genuine from the get-go, it resonates like everywhere. Like it's not even just like what's on your screen or on your viewer's screen or anything like that. Like you are going to come away from your like experience like in a pretty like vexed mood. Like if you had a bad day, playing Realm or playing like Rainbow Six and you didn't actually love to play it, you're going to walk away from your PC or from your console or whatever else, and that's going to carry with you. Like you don't just get like a sodium dump and then life goes on. No, that's going to be like, that's going to stick for a little while. So it's like, it's always like in your best interest to run with what you love first. Like the idea of jumping into a game because you think it's going to grow, especially like that mentality tends to come from games that you feel are going to be insanely popular very, very quickly, you know? But the flip side of it is that the saturation effect takes effect, and now you have like a lot of like diminishing returns in terms of how many people came in versus how many people you'll get. You know, are you, you know, the Shroud, or are you the 0 viewer, no talking, didn't see my chat? You know, like there's a really wide spectrum, you know, so like you're better off just like engaging in something that you thoroughly enjoy rather than jumping viewership. Like, especially because, and this is something that gets lost in a lot of folks, you don't want empty growth. You know, if you picked up 1,000 new followers because you picked up a new game, changed games, and all the followers left, what did you really pick up? You know, like you don't want that. You know, you want them to come through for the game that you love, and or like in your talent. You know, I love watching Vel because he's just like, he's high energy. You know, like that's why like I come through and then like kick back, and it's just like I try to like sneak my time in the office because like Val usually sees me at like 9:30 in the morning, you know, and I'm like, yo, what's going on? And like he's just like, it's like, let's go, you know, and like you can take that, you can resonate with energy. It's like, how much can I pump your tires? But it's just like you can like resonate with that kind of energy, right? But it's like if he's playing a game that he may not necessarily love, his energy is going to drop. You know, so it's just like now I'm there for the person who may not be able to carry the kind of energy I'm used to, and he's playing a game who may not be playing a game in like 6 months that I came for. Where's my draw as a viewer? My draw's gone. You know, so it's like I'm just another number on following that is never going to be another number in viewing. To lose. You know, so.
Nailed it.
Round of applause from Vel there. No, I definitely think you're right. And I think it's easy to kind of get swept up in this sometimes once you've been in streaming for a while, starting to think too much about the numbers and trying to find the optimal game. And I even make those tier lists about, you know, what games are growing the best. Those are really more for just looking at, you know, what's interesting from a numbers perspective. Like, oh, this month, this game's doing really well. That's kind of cool. I think it's less about choose this game because it's the best game to stream and you'll see the best growth. Because that's, if you got into streaming initially, that's not what got you in, right? You just wanted to stream a game that you loved, or, you know, hang out with people that you love to hang out with and be energetic and have fun. And I think if you lose sight of that, you kind of lose the drive for what made you start in the first place, and you don't want to get away from that. So I definitely think that, yes, there is something to be said for considering viewership of games. Like, if viewership matters to you, then streaming a dead game is just not going to be fun. But if you're really passionate about a game, then not streaming that game is also going to suck. So you kind of figure out like what drives you with your stream and what kind of motivates you to keep doing it, and then build your game choice around that, everything else you do. So I would say there. Cool. Thank you for the question. That one was from I can't remember who that was from. Someone in chat. Okay, I think this is from Susie. It seems like this next one. So Susie says, do any of the guests have advice on how to handle toxicity in competitive games while streaming? How can it be approached to not cause the whole environment of the stream to be brought down with it? Interesting. So all three of you guys play competitive games here, so this is good. I'll start with this one with Vel. How do you handle toxicity in competitive games on stream without dragging the whole stream down?
So if it's something that's, you know, something that even horrible people shouldn't say, then you just mute them and move on, report them. But if it's something like they're just being an a-hole, then I'm gonna be an a-hole right back, because that's free content, and I love trolling people, and I guarantee you I'm better at it than you are. And man, is it good content for me. So I would say just meme them back, just have fun with it, because chat will love it if you can pull it off right. You know, occasionally you'll say something and it won't get anything or whatever, but when you can get those like really good insults on somebody, like the really good comeback, and then they stop talking or then they leave, oh man, that's just
gotta get those zingers.
Yeah. Yep, that's what I live for.
That's definitely one method. I like it. Glock, what would you say? Because I'm sure you get some of this in Realm streaming as well.
Well, first, challenge accepted on the trolling.
Yes.
I played CS:GO for years competitively. I mean, come on.
All right. Okay.
Realm Royale, actually, believe it or not, the competitive scene over there can get very toxic. We just had a solo tournament over the weekend, and there was a pretty big prize on the line, and people in every battle royale game, third party is part of the game, but no one likes being killed, being third partied. You know, I almost got third partied. I ended up killing the guy. Then I got third partied. I died, and then as soon as I got third party, someone else third party that guy.
Can you?
And then
can you
but that guy
clarify
that guy went
Third-
off.
Third party
So
being
basically
when you're in a 1v1 and someone else comes
Yeah,
in and
it comes in.
okay,
wants to
thank you.
kill.
So yeah, exactly. So there was like a fifth party going on, but the one that did like the fourth party and got me, he got killed and he went off. Totally went off and started typing in the Discord and all this stuff. And I replied back to him. I was like, dude, you fourth partied me. Like, but it's part of the game. Yeah, I think it's hilarious. I agree. Like, it's free content when stuff like that happens. I ended up pulling a stream up on my stream. I was like, dude, look at this guy.
Gotta bring him
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, but it depends on what you're saying. Like when you're like if someone's saying obscene stuff and like inappropriate stuff, that's when you mute it, move away from it, whether they're on your team, whether they're wherever it happens to be. There's a difference between toxicity and then unnecessary banter, I guess I'll just call it.
Gotcha. NagataLock, how about your end? What would you say to this toxicity question?
I hate to differ from my boys here, but we're actually like one.
What?
You cut out for a sec there. What'd you say?
Oh, I said I hate to differ with you guys, but we're opposites on this particular regard. My mods, I basically instill in my mods to snuff out toxicity immediately. And the reason that I bring that up is because of experience in like offline running events. More specifically with a very like significant issue as it comes to female participation at offline events. So you can have it's almost like safe space syndrome. So it's like you've got a situation where you have somebody that's on the outside looking in, okay, and they don't say anything, and they're witnessing a really toxic situation on stream or in chat or whatever else, and they don't say anything, and the creator is enabling that. Now, if I'm coming in and I don't feel like I'm in a comfortable position, I may not want to stick around in that kind of environment, So that's like the way that I look at it. Because like when I saw like offline events, I used to like talk with people that I wouldn't normally see at my events and just like, hey, I haven't seen you in 6 months, or whatever. Like, what's going on? How you doing? And be like, more importantly, like what didn't bring you back? And more often than not, and as I said, like especially like the female like participatory rate, and we've all read online about how like you've got like 50% of the market is female and like the participation rate is like 5%. Like clearly there's a chasm that's going on. But that's another topic for another time. But the particular aspect here was that they were just like, well, I didn't feel comfortable. That's the words that constantly will come up. I didn't feel comfortable. I'm like, okay, I get that. So in like the online perspective, like competitive is like awful things happen in competitive, like people say terrible stuff, and it also brings out the worst in people in chat, because they feel that they have carte blanche to tell you that you can't third party, you can't, like your headshots are off today, it's just like, really, you dropped that combo, like the garbage, and like they will come at you, like they will come at you like every which way. And there's banter and there's stuff like, especially when it comes like from person A to person B, where it's just like, you're playing like garbage. But the flip side of it is like you get people that come in and they are just bringing negativity everywhere. And for me, like I don't enable it. Like I like look at it, and my mods are like, one of my like top mods is in here right now, and she's like a godsend, God bless her. But she has no tolerance for anything. Like she's got like Thor's hammer, ugh. And like, or I just look over my chat, I'm like, what just happened? Like I don't know what just happened. And Kimchi will just be like, I took care of it. I'm like, okay, and as a result of it, like there's nobody being like alienated by an influence, like a negative influence, especially because like I think you guys would be able to agree, most trolls, they're not even like part of your community. They just pop in and it's just like account created 6 minutes ago. And
Count
like
as
and
NagataLockII sucks.
yes, exactly. You know what I mean? Oh, trust me, that has happened many a time. You know what I mean?
Hello, valuable viewer.
And you're just like kind of like sitting back and you're like, okay, you went out of your way to make an account just to mess with somebody, who's already in like somewhat like stressful situation. Streaming is not easy to begin with. Streaming competitive is very difficult, and then somebody is basically trying to like step on your back, while you're doing it. Like, no, like I personally don't believe in it, in enabling it. It's like, you guys are, better smack talkers than me. Props to you. Like for me, it's like, if I pop off and it's like angry, then it's a lose on my part. So I don't.
Yeah, I definitely think both strategies are valid. It definitely depends on what you are like. I definitely see the value of just curbing all toxicity and not being associated that with your brand. I also see the value, if you can deal with it well, to like fire back, and as long as it's not like going into bad territory with racial slurs and things, like kind of fire back and prove yourself a little bit. I think we should also mention in the chat, some people are saying, like Susie, that it's probably very different from a female perspective for this, because especially in competitive games, we've all seen the montages with people getting yelled at, girls getting yelled at in games, and just the terrible things people say. And I, like she said here, I'd love to have like a female perspective from a caller or something in the future about this. So that is definitely worth mentioning. And in that case, maybe you are more strict about it, or maybe you can bite back. But same thing kind of applies. Like, you definitely have to find what works for you, and don't drag down your whole stream with the toxicity if you can. But I have kind of a tangent question off of this. Since we are talking about competitive games, you guys all play competitive games, and I've seen at least 2 of you get frustrated with the games at one point or another. I personally, happens to me too. What do you guys do when you start getting very frustrated with a competitive game, and maybe you kind of feel like it's impacting the stream in terms of your mood, your personality? Maybe you feel like you're not putting on the best version of yourself for the stream at that point. How do you kind of deal with that situation? I'll throw this to Bell once again first.
So if it's really bad and it's something that's like within your team, you know what I mean? Either change the teammates that you're playing with, or just, I've ended the stream early, pretty abruptly, just because there was like this, just a negative feel, a negative vibe going between people. And in order to stop it from getting worse, I've just ended it and said, we'll return. I'll either do another night or an extra stream tonight because of this, because I know ending streams early is not normally my thing. Or if it's something that you think you can just get up and take like a quick 5-minute break and just like go get some water, go let the dog out or something, anything to just kind of separate for a minute and just refresh, maybe get some fresh air. I think that's very, very useful. But I've definitely ended streams early just because of somebody in the team being too negative and just causing some issues. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, it comes to a point when it gets too bad, and like you can't trash talk anybody back or anything, and you can't do anything to stop it, and that's when you just got to realize how bad it's hurting your content.
Yeah, I think that's a good example too, because sometimes trash talking back doesn't work, right? Maybe you're kind of off it one day, or you're kind of jarred up in your own mood.
Well, trash talking and just negativity in general like can be 2 different things. Like when there's just negativity going on, like somebody is making like just kind of being aggressive with how they're speaking, not necessarily being mean, but just has that negative tone, you know what I mean? Like that's pretty bad, especially when it's not a random, and it's somebody that you've queued up with, and they're a part of your team regularly and they're just having an off day. You know what I mean? It might not even be you. There's so many things that could happen, but when it comes down to is it hurting your content?
Absolutely. Glock, you ever deal with the situation on stream, maybe getting a little too stressed out or frustrated with the game, or teammates or something like that?
Just happened Saturday during the tournament. Was we had to play 4 games NA servers, 4 games EU servers, and I performed just fine on NA servers, and then you go to EU playing with 200 ping. You watch your bullet go through someone's head and it doesn't register. Easy fist slam on the desk, and just I'm out. So I literally just took the headset off, be right back. And I just walked out to the next round, and then I was like walking around. Finally, I seen the game was about to end. I came back, take a little breather. I understand the frustration of wanting. There's been times where I wanted to end stream, because of frustration and stuff like that. And I did I did a couple days ago where I was like, I'm not feeling it today. I'm gonna end it. That's one of the worst things that I not the worst thing, but like I don't like to do it because everyone knows what time you're on. They know your schedule. They know usually how long you go for, and then so it's like I like to try and be on in my time slot when I'm supposed to be on when you expect me to be on. But there's just some days that just you can't. You're not feeling it. It's just it happens.
Mm-hmm.
But my main thing is get up, walk away, get some water. Like he said, let the dog out. That's what I do. I'm like, hey, let's go potty.
You gotta pee now. What's up?
You gotta pee. Let's go.
Dog's gotta go to the bathroom, guys. 1 second. No, I think taking a break away is hugely beneficial for so many things on stream, especially if you're getting frustrated. Even like a 2-minute break can just do wonders for resetting your mood.
Yeah, go headbutt a wall, just really relax.
Yeah, like we all do. NagataLock, do you ever deal with this situation in fighting games, trying to recover from some tilt or frustration with the game?
It varies, but most fighting games have the benefit of a lobby system. So if you're having a rough go of it, you can literally just put yourself into watch the lobby rather than play in the lobby. And like, I'll take a walk, or like anybody else here, or I just put myself in watch. And it gives you, in my case, it gives me an opportunity to just talk with my chat, which is generally very positive, and it de-escalates like a really negative mood. Mm-hmm. But in the end, I think it all just comes down to get away from the negative for a few minutes. Go to walk the dog, or just walk away. Just walk away from it. Take a breather. Smack your skull. Whatever works for you, and come back around. Like, okay. We're good. It was a thing, and now it's not a thing, and move forward from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think best medicine you can have there. And there are some times where maybe it's a whole day that's repeatedly bad games or something, or frustrating teammates, and it's just really affecting your mood. Which at that point, I think maybe it feels bad to end, but it really is kind of worth it. If you feel like you're kind of tainting your brand with your stream at that point, I could see the value of doing that to preserve that.
I was gonna say, Vel was talking about, teammates, people that's absolutely the most frustrating thing ever when someone that you've played with many, many times, and like I said, I used to play competitive Counter-Strike and very competitive Counter-Strike, and everyone that knows that community, and when you have a teammate, like you said, speaking aggressively, almost like, what are you watching? Almost like treating you making you sound stupid. And you're almost like you talking to me like that makes people think that I'm dumb or something like that, and I don't know what I'm doing. That's when change scene, just chatting, DM coming your way.
Yeah.
Hey, knock it off. Watching. Just but that's one way of dealing with it. That's what I usually do if I'm having a problem with a teammate. They're getting a DM real quick. Hey, you need to chill, dude. I don't know if you had a bad day, but I didn't do it. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good idea to kind of not have it right on stream either,
too. It also helps you. It also helps you. Like my biggest thing. I've had a teammate rage quit on me before. Because not that we said anything to each other. Just I was fighting somebody else, and he was fighting somebody else. He didn't make a call out. I thought he was by himself, and he ended up dying. I could have saved him, and he rage quit on me. That made me more mad. Hey, we should be able to communicate better. Don't just leave.
Right.
That kind of threw off my mood for my stream. I went to go play solo, and then hey, DM me if you have an issue. Like what just happened? I don't even know what just happened until I went back and watched your pod.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't even call out, hey, I got a guy over here. You were just dying.
Right.
Say something.
Yeah. I think this is just a cool topic to talk about since we have 3 competitive people here this week, which doesn't always happen. So gotta talk about the salt sometimes.
Oh yeah,
it is real. It's like salt.
You're cutting out a bit there, Nagata.
Oh, sorry. I would say salt is the seasoning of the play. It's just it is going to fuel you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You do not want to go through salty moments. You're going to improve to avoid that if at all possible. And I feel for Glock and Vel because they're team based. You need your 3 teammates or 4 teammates or whatever else so much. They're just as integral as yourself in getting the job done. and if they're not on the ball, or like the example just said, that if they don't do the call outs, like the amount of times that I've like sat back and watched Val be like, what, where's the call out?
Triggering.
Yeah, because like they aren't just playing for themselves, they're playing with you, for you. Like the fighting game community is different because it's like you play for yourself, it's on you. Drop your stuff, that's on you. But in team based, and especially like I look at it like esports all the time, it's very, very team based. Everything is just like your Dota and your League and all that kind of stuff. Like I kick back with Green and like watch him play like League before and stuff like that. It's like your team is your team, whether it's casual or competitive. Like team to team, it can cause like assault. So it's got to learn how to mitigate it. Yeah,
absolutely. Cool. We got about 10 minutes left, guys. So if you have questions or calls, now's the time to get those in. We do have some more questions coming in. Mall_man has another one. It says, do you guys feel a lot of games in recent years have flopped? How do you discover new games that you can pour hours into? And I think we should look at this kind of from the streamer's perspective. Maybe thinking through new games to hit each year. And also, do you think that a lot of games have flopped in viewership over the past couple years? Anthem is a good example, though.
Oh God, sure. I forgot about that game.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. I totally forgot about the game.
There were so many people that were so excited for that to stream it and put hours into it, and when you put like more than a day into that game, people are like, "This game sucks, dude!" Like,
we couldn't even get into it in the first place.
I didn't even buy it because I just had this feeling. I'm like, this game's not going to be good. So I was right. You were all wrong. What's up?
As always, right?
Yeah.
So Anthem is a good example, but do you think that a lot of games have flopped, or is it sort of like few and far between for you, Vel?
I don't get as excited for some of these games coming out anymore. Especially as a streamer, and a full-time streamer at that. I have to budget myself really well as to like which games I purchase. So like it's pretty rare that I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna spend $60 on that game. Like that's not a very common thing at all. Like Cyberpunk, I'll spend $60 on that. Yes. That game's gonna be amazing. I know I'm gonna be able to put hours into that, unless like they do an Anthem thing and make it terrible. But I'm willing to take that risk on that one. You know what I mean?
Don't even say it.
But like the new Borderlands coming out, like there will be people that like that. I'm not gonna purchase it because it's not the stream game for me. I think it is kind of hard to find new games to play as a non-variety streamer, though. You know what I mean? Like new games that will still fit the mold of what your channel is and still keep the attention of the people that want to watch the specific game that you're playing. It's really, really difficult. But as a variety streamer, you can kind of like take those risks every once in a while, although it costs a lot more for you to do that. Yeah, I get very, very picky with the games that I switch to, for sure.
For sure. Glock, I know that you've pretty much just streamed Realm, well, CSGO before that, but what are your kind of thoughts on recent games coming out over the past couple of years? Do you think that a lot are flopping, or just sort of few and far between?
Every game that I gotta admit that's come out has kind of been very disappointing. Just like I will always, and I've already said, I'm not gonna get the new Call of Duty. I saw them stream gameplay, and I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna pre-order it. I already know I am.
Yep.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. It looks great on the thing, but there's just I got Black Ops 4, and I think I was like, oh, this is awesome. Then like a month later, I was like, I don't feel like playing it. At first, I thought it was great, and then all of a sudden, just and then like I said, like Realm, it doesn't seem like a very exciting game. It's just what I like. It's what I have fun with. It's knowing that you're even though the community is so pretty small. Knowing that someone sees you in the lobby and goes, oh crap, Glock's in my lobby. I love seeing that, by the way. I love seeing people send me clips of that, like, oh god, Glock's in here. Yeah, but it's like you gotta find out what you like. But there have been a lot of games that have flopped. Like Anthem was, like I said, I forgot about that game. I almost bought that, pre-ordered that game.
Yeah,
I was like, oh yeah, that was a game.
And it's not just Anthem too. I mean, there are other games are seen to be flops. Like in some capacity, you could say Destiny 2 or Apex Legends. Yep. In terms of viewership, have flopped.
Well, yeah, especially in terms of viewership, because like I said, I actually hopped on off stream the other day to check out season 2. Check out season 2, and I was like, oh, let me try this ranked play thing. I was sitting in queue for a minute and a half. And I'm like, this game should not take a minute and a half to get into ranked play. And then I started looking around on people who were streaming it. Sure enough, they're sitting there waiting for long queues. unless you're already higher up there. So a lot of the higher up there guys are getting in queues faster, but any new people trying to play aren't getting in queues. And no one really wants to sit there long for a queue. I think you were in my chat asking about queues in Realm and why there's bots in the game. That's why no one wants to sit in queue for 5 minutes. That's why I stopped playing it for a little bit. Streamed Call of Duty, and I even got into Fortnite in season 7, which was shocking to my viewers. Can't build, but I can snipe.
I think even Realm is kind of an example of a game that I would say flopped. You're doing
absolutely,
very well with
100%.
Sure. Yeah.
So like I said, what happened with Realm was, I mean, we barely hit. I think the hot point of every day you hit about 1.2K. That's it. But I will say, like when I tell people to build around a game that you like, that community is absolutely amazing. It's unbelievable, and but it totally flopped. Like I said, I even stopped playing it for a little bit, but it's like, but once you get to people, like we have some people that used to play a game competitively and all those tournaments that Shroud and all them used to play in, they came back and went, holy crap, this game is, it's fun again. So it's like it's trying to get people back to the game, and once they try it out, they end up getting pretty addicted to it. But everyone wants them to market it again. Well, you gotta fix the bugs. Like when I'm running around a corner, I get stuck on an invisible wall. You can't market that. It's a true beta game. And when they released it last time, it was an alpha game, true alpha game. It's like it's not like Fortnite where they say it's a beta game, but it's a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah, I don't know how they still get away with that, but
because I don't know how they get away with it, but it's how they keep it free.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Nagata, what do you think about games coming out in recent years? Do you think a lot of flopped? Do you think it's just a couple of them?
Well, I mean, like, Infamous Swift posted they put 6,000 views for Destiny 2. Is that a flop? So it's like, I think that's like one of the big questions first is what's a flop? Because if you are like, I'm in Dragon Ball, I'll take 6K. Hello.
Yeah.
Like I will take my 6K for within that like part of the platform. But if you're Apex Legends, you are crying as a publisher if you see 6,000 total viewers on Twitch. Like that is like, oh god. So like I think that like with Apex specifically is that I think that's like a falling down to the norm. Because like Apex was boosted by like ridiculous influencer marketing to start. So like they went right for the cream of the crop, right to the top, like the millions of dollars in marketing basically to make that happen. So I think that Apex is fine, but it's like if the game had come out and it was always doing 10,000 viewers, 15,000 total viewers, whatever else, you'd be like, oh, that's pretty solid. Like you'd be like, that's top 10 on Twitch, but it started at the top. So when it's like as it falls to the mean, you're just like, oh man, this game is flopping hard, So it's like it's just like a in terms of like impression, I guess, more than anything.
Yeah, it's also kind of like expectations versus what you actually get, right? For each, because they'll vary a lot per company. Because Dragon Ball Z wasn't expecting to get the same viewership response that EA was with Apex, right? Yeah. But it's all a matter of sort of what you are aiming for versus what actually happens, which is why Destiny, I think, I mean, you saw how many times Destiny rolled back the free-to-play model and then total free-to-play model, and I think that kind of indicates that probably isn't what they were going for with the game initially. But keep going. Well,
it's the other thing, and like you brought up Destiny, and it's Destiny is like a prime example of we're living in a world now that works in waves DLC. So you play a game and it's hot, all right? But once it's done, you're like, okay, I don't need to play this for another year until, fill in the blank DLC season 2, whatever drops, next marketing campaign, next open beta, next hype train, and then come back to it. And all of a sudden, like you like the, and then it goes from there. And we live in a world of DLC, like Rainbow Six just got like a pretty significant one recently, right? If I recall correctly. Because like a friend of mine, she was going on about a Canadian operator. Is that right? Did I get that right, Val? Was there a new operator that came out for that game for Rainbow Six
recently?
Yeah, well,
Canadian. I don't know about a Canadian.
No, Denmark. The operation.
Oh yeah, there was, yeah.
So she when she was telling me about this, I don't know much about Rainbow Six aside from like when I watched in like the esports or like a few of the streamers recently, but like she was hyped about it. And she was only hyped about it because of this new content. Like she wasn't really playing actively anymore, and this new content comes out, and then the mentality is, oh wow, new content, let's go. So like if you could like watch like viewership patterns based around DLC content over a given year, or even probably over a given 2 years, you're going to see like really weird like trends, right? So when Apex drops its next season, or if it drops its next season and it spikes again, is it like a one shot, or is the game like legitimized again? Is it's top 4 all of a sudden? So is it godlike in the eyes of Twitch viewers? Like you never really know, because like they've been cultivated to watch in a certain manner.
Yeah. And the second half of the question was, how do you discover new games that you can pour hours into? Most of you guys are pouring the hours into one game right now, so it's tough to answer that question. But if you're like a story game player, if you like single player game stuff, then that I think is a question that you just gotta think through. And like Nagata said, like DLCs coming out could help with that. Sequels coming out could help with that for sure.
You were talking about DLC and content and stuff like that. That was one of the biggest complaints about Apex. I saw Apex streamers, they want more content, and the reason why, as much as I'm not a fan of Fortnite, it's just I don't like the building. I'm not good at it, so it's like, why even play it? That's the main aspect. The reason Fortnite will not die is because they are constantly pushing content. Okay, for example, they come out with planes, take planes away, hamster balls, always something new. The grapple guns, how many clips you see of a grapple gun, you shoot up somebody's one by one and shotgun them in the face. Like, holy crap. And then now you got they came out with that little flint pistol that launches you in the air. There's no point in using that gun. It's only to launch yourself up and no scope somebody. It's a content creator for people to post their clips on Twitter and Instagram, YouTube clips. Fortnite is a content creator. Whether and that's why people keep going back to it, because they get those epic clips.
And also just because they're updating the game so often, right? I don't know of any other game that updates as often as they do. And they're not always huge updates, but like keeping the game fresh is huge, especially for multiplayer games.
Yeah, I just hopped on there the other day just to check it out, off stream, and there's, last I heard they put a new shotgun in the game. Then they took the pump out and they put the pump back in. Now there's another new shotgun. I'm like, what is going on here? Every time I hop on, it feels like a fresh new game, and that's why their viewership went down during Apex, but they're right back on top. And that's
Riot's coming on top now.
Fortnite's
not bad, yeah.
Yeah, no, Fortnite's still where they are comfortable being at 100,000 plus.
Yeah, they're doing pretty well for themselves for sure.
Oh yeah. You can't complain about 100,000 plus. Second place.
All right. Well, we are hitting the end of the show, guys. So I think we'll start wrap it up for this week. So we'll go off really quickly and kind of do sign off thoughts. NagataLock, thank you for coming on the show, man, for the first time. Anything you want to say in terms of where people can find you, what they should know about your stream, that kind of thing?
You can find me like quite literally everywhere at too. Nobody else would be dumb enough to use this name. So you can find me Twitter, Twitch, Discord, Instagram, the whole shebang. I'm on Twitch every Monday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and all over socials. Come say hi.
There you go, guys. Go check them out. There's a link in the Twitch chat if you're watching right now. Secondly, NagataLockII, thank you for being on the show as well, man, for the first time. What do you want to say to people about where they can find you, stuff they should know?
Well, Twitter's the main one. I actually just paid the guy for the domain of just Glock9, not Glock9TTV. So we got all the same socials.
Nice.
Right now, I am actually on disability from a pretty severe car accident. So I am online almost all day and night. So if you want guys to come say hi, I'd love to hear from you guys.
Boom. So. Go check him out, guys, especially if you like Realm Royale stuff, because he's definitely doing well in that directory right now. Last but not least is Veli. Anything you want to say, my man, before we sign off?
Just thoughts and prayers for all the people that work at Amazon.
I forgot to say that.
Yeah, dude.
Sending out those thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
Thoughts and prayers, everybody.
Oh my
But
God.
yeah, you guys can find me everywhere, Veloc_TV, and that's pretty much it.
Awesome. I will link that.
Thanks for asking the questions.
Yes, thank you guys as always for coming out and asking questions, calling in. Love to have you guys. We'll be back here next week, as always, Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern with 2 more true partners. I think one is new. We got Veli's a seal right now. But I want to say quickly before we sign off, if you guys are watching this the first time, make sure you check us out on listening platforms like iTunes, Spotify. We're also on YouTube. Search for Twitch or StreamKey and you'll find us there. And please let us know if you have questions or comments for us. You can send us an email or Twitter DM if you can't watch the live show, but we'll still answer your questions off air, or on the next episode, I should say, if you have something you'd like us to cover. So that's it for this week, guys. Thank you for watching. We will see you a week from now. And as always, blaze up. Yep, there you go.